Yes, this video is going to be a response to the Young Turks aggressive progressive video entitled Should We Stop Talking About Trump's Russia Ties? And this is featured, Jimmy Dore and Michael Tracy saying, and the narrative, your narrative in that video was that it seemed to be that there's no big problem, no big deal. And in fact, I think you even go farther than that. You say we're being distracted, we're being misled by the corrupt corporate media. And all the newspapers, and all the newspapers, major newspapers, and the corrupt media, and then we also have the House Intelligence Committee investigation, and the Senate Intelligence Committee investigation, and then we have the FBI investigation. So all of this is a big distraction to hoodwink the American people into an antagonistic position toward Russia and perhaps a war toward Russia. Well, I have to say I'm a liberal and a reluctant Democrat, and I'm not proposing war. I don't think a war with Russia. I don't think any of the liberals well, certainly the liberals are not. Maybe there's a few Democrats that want war with Russia, but those are, I don't know. And let me further say that I'm not convinced yet that the Trump campaign or the Trump administration was colluding or plotting with the Russian government or Vladimir Putin. I don't know. I want to find out. And I want to see the hearings, and I want to see evidence. But surely you know, surely you folks know, the main players that the Trump people in the Trump campaign and the Trump administration that have Russian ties, and they almost all lied about it. So why all the lying? Why all the covering up? Very strange. That's not been answered. But I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I've got a list here of top campaign people and administration people, Trump administration people that had contacts with Russians, and of course we got to go with start out with the national security head of the National Security Council. Do I have that title right? Head of the National Security Council, Michael Flynn. The accusation is that he received money from the Russian government and the Turkish government. So that's no big deal. That's no big deal. He's actually he could be what they call, quote unquote, a foreign agent or a foreign lobbyist. I Googled this just to make sure. This is the latest accusation against Flynn, is that he may have been in a plot to kidnap a Turkish cleric who was wanted by the Turkish government, and that he kidnap a Turkish cleric that is living in the United States. Apparently he's I think he's maybe a citizen or legal resident, I don't know, but he's living in the United States. So they want to kidnap him and send him back to Turkey, and he met with a Turkish businessman. This is Flynn, about the kidnapping of this cleric. Now, this has been reported in several outlets. So is it true? Is it a lie? Is it part of the mainstream media disinformation? I don't know. And did I give the figure that Flynn was supposedly going to get paid or was paid? It was $450,000. $450,000 to do this. No big deal? We should ignore that? I don't know. No, I know. We shouldn't ignore that if that's true. And it could be treason. It could be a violation of the law. No big deal? no big deal. I differ. Then we go to Paul Manafort, Trump's campaign manager for about 4 months or 5 months during a very important period. Okay, he lied. He lied about his contacts with Russia, or with Russians, and he was fired. And of course, you know this. You have to know this, right? I have here he was paid by the corrupt Ukrainian government, which was a puppet government set up by Putin and the Russians. And Paul Manafort received $12.7 million in 22 payments. No big deal? Just a little smoke? Just the mainstream media going the wrong direction? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Oh, the latest accusation I Googled was that Manafort tried to hide this money in offshore accounts. And this would have been, let's see. They have here the figure $750,000 cash. I don't know how they move money around. In an offshore account, he tried to hide it. Then another main Trump official is Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Now, Emma Vigeland pointed this out, is that Tillerson is of ExxonMobil. And ExxonMobil did a lot of business in Russia and helped them profit from their oil and gas reserves. And Exxon did projects in Russia, and stands to gain a lot if the Russian sanctions are lifted. So Rex Tillerson is Secretary of State. No big deal. We should ignore. Okay, let me keep going. I don't want this video to be too long. Let's see. I have here Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross has now. Do I have this right? Aggressive progressives. Do I have this right? That he has a controlling interest in the Bank of Cyprus? Huh? Bank of Cyprus? Now, I'm trying to put this together hastily here. So what I have heard and read is the Bank of Cyprus is corrupt and is considered to be a money laundering operation bank for the Russians. And because Cyprus sneaked into the European Union, I guess, the money can be laundered through that bank, maybe, and then can get into the European banking system. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. I'm trying to figure this all out. It's pretty complicated. Okay, now I didn't mention some other minor figures here. Carter Page, I didn't mention with Russian context. I think there's a guy named J.D. Gordon. I didn't mention Russian context. I didn't mention Jefferson Beauregard Sessions and his lying. And of course now, after he perjured himself, maybe in the Senate committee, he's now Attorney General. Oh man, what a government! What a government! Okay, so let me just end now. It's not just collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians is the problem. It's whether the Russians made a huge attempt, rather large attempt, to influence the election, our election, and whether they're doing it in Europe and in other places. Now, I'm hearing that they're doing it in France and Germany and other Baltic states. I don't know. So it's a question of collusion. There's a question of Russian tampering and disinformation. And then if the Russians didn't do it, who did? If the Russians didn't do the email hacking, the hacking of the DNC, the hacking of the RNC, the hacking of John Podesta, the hacking of Colin Powell, et cetera, et cetera. Who did do all of this hacking and leaking? Very ingeniously done. So I'm looking forward to learning more about this. But the narrative, I don't know, you have a narrative and then the mainstream media has a narrative. So they're competing narratives. And I'm interested in finding out what happened with all the hacking. Thank you.